wanna nitpick Tom, but is this really your plan?
3, 2, 1, and we're live.
Hello everybody, I hope you guys are having fun so far. I'm going to be playing Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Blue Rescue Team for the Nintendo DS today. And I'm going to just start very soon. I'll explain a lot when I get into it. But anyway, 3, 2, 1, go. So, as you can see, I am starting not at the title screen, which is not something that you normally see in games. And the reasoning behind this is our first choke point in this run is actually right at the beginning, because in order to get through this game as fast as we can, we need a certain partner and starter combo to complete the game as fast as possible. And this for us is Squirtle and Meowth, for a slew of reasons that I'll get into as they come up. But basically, they have a lot of tools in their arsenal that we can utilize to basically just make this game easier on us. The Mystery Dungeon genre is like notorious for being super hard, and even though like Pokemon definitely dumbed down the difficulty level of Mystery Dungeon games when they slapped their name on it, it's still decently hard, especially if you're trying to just blitz through the dungeons and basically fight as little Pokemon as possible. So I keep talking about the Mystery Dungeon genre, and some of you probably have no idea what that is. So we're going to be seeing our first dungeon here. And basically what Mystery Dungeons are is they're randomly generated dungeons that we can use, that the goal is to get through them. The way we get through them is basically... Yeah, give me a second. Yeah, okay, I got the right settings. Basically, what our goal is to find the stairs. The way we progress through the dungeon is we find stairs, we go to the next floor, rinse, repeat until we're out of the dungeon. This is this can be really slow. This can be really fast. There's a lot of inherent RNG to this game, which makes this game very, very frustrating to try to get an insanely good time in here. But thankfully, we have found a little way to cheat the system a little bit, and I'll explain that more in detail when we get to it. But this dungeon's really easy. It's the beginner dungeon. We just browse through it, we get out of it. It's the shortest dungeon ever in any of the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games, being only 3 floors is it's a joke of a dungeon, but it's actually going to help us a lot later. But for now, we're just going to get out of it. So now, a little bit of a story thing, because a lot of people, one of their main gripes with speedruns of games is they can't really, like, fully experience the story. So I'm going to do that a little bit for you guys. Basically, we've woken up, and we're Pokemon. Wow, what a concept, we're Pokemon. Instead of us, like, catching Pokemon, we're a Pokemon. And we get thrown into these forests, this Pokemon finds us, good old boy Squirtle finds us, and... he's just like, hey man, do you have any place to go? And we're like, no. So he's like, why don't you just chill with me? We'll make a good time. We'll make our own little rescue team and help Pokemon out. That sounds like a good idea. Anyway, I will explain now a little bit of the reasons why I started where I did and not at the very beginning. And I said because we have a choke point right at the beginning, and that's just basically because the quiz that we can get that determines which Pokemon I am is completely random. There's no way we can really accurately and 100% determine what Pokemon we're going to get at any point in time in which we start the run. But it's fine, because it's only like 30 seconds in. We just reset, we call it a day, and we try until we get Meowth's starter. So now, we don't really know what we're going to do. We're just going to go through some cutscenes. The one problem I have with this game is that there's a lot of cutscenes in this game. And it helps. I've been running the Japanese version of this game for a while, alongside the English version, and it definitely feels different. Like, a lot of people say, oh, like, Japanese text is better than English text because it makes the game faster. But especially in this game, it just exponentially decreases the amount of time I have to sit in cutscenes. Now we have the swag box. So basically, in order to progress the story, we need to hit this mailbox and open it, quote-unquote open it. But our buddy pal Squirtle's right in our way, so we're going to try to get around Squirtle as fast as we can. This is... I'm probably not going to get this, but hey, hello. That was terrible. The idea is you can, in the overworld, you can hold B to go faster. And I definitely flubbed up that movement a good bit. And now we're on to our next dungeon, Thunderwave Cave. Thunderwave Cave will be the first time I'm able to show off a really cool mechanic called quick save manipulation. Now, it was a great voice crack, but quick save manipulation. Basically what this does, it allows us to basically take most of the randomness out of this game. Picked up an apple, that's good. So basically, floor ones always stay the same. I have to just try to find the stairs as fast as possible. And I can't really make that go any faster other than, you know, having good RNG. But what I'm going to do differently that I didn't do in Tiny Woods is I'm going to quick save here. And instead of having all the floors after this be randomized, they're all going to be predictable. They're not really manipulated to what we want, but in the very least they are predictable. So I can, of course, figure out what I'm doing and what I need to do to get to the stairs as fast as possible. This particular dungeon isn't super flashy because it's simple, but we can use this later into the game to exponentially decrease the time we spend on each floor, which of course is good in a speedrun, you know. And that, just like that, we're out of Thunderwave Cave. So for the people who don't really have a good idea of why this happens, or if you're interested in like understanding why this occurs, the simplest way I can describe this as is when you enter a dungeon, you are given a set seed, a set number assigned to your party. This number tells the game what dungeons to create, and it's frame perfect, it's input perfect, like it's all these crazy factors go into giving you this number. But this number really doesn't change throughout the dungeons. It only really changes when you go through floors, and it only changes from a set amount. So what we can do is, by quick saving, that number doesn't get assigned to us. The same number doesn't get assigned to us. Like, what we think is that the number gets cached, and when we quick save, that cached number just kind of disappears. So the game's trying to like get all flustered and was like, what number do I give them? And they just give us like a default number of like 0. And we can use that to predict what floors are coming after. That's the super technical definition of it. But I always like to say that in my runs, just to like give some techies some idea of why this might be happening. But anyway, now we have to go to the Pelipper Post Office. And the missions are very important to quality of runs in this game. Excuse me. There's three types of missions you can get. You can get the standard help me, I'm stuck in a dungeon, come help me, oh no, come help me missions, which are very basic, very straightforward, and very easy to do, but not necessarily the fastest to do. You can also get something called deliver missions, which is basically like the help missions, but you have to deliver a specific item to a Pokemon. Those are... I need to accept all these. Those are better, in the sense that, like, if you have the item gets taken from your inventory, and therefore, like, you really don't need to, worry about, like, inventory management as much, because you only get 20 items in this game. But, the best mission by far is called the Near Mission. The Near Mission, the flag that you have to, like, show to the game that you've completed a mission is basically, do I have this item in my inventory? And if so, the mission is done. I never have to go to the floor, I never have to talk to anybody. The text that says, hey, you have a mission here, never shows up. So having near missions is by far the best type of mission you can get, but it also comes with the drawback. You have to have the item in your inventory. But if you have the item in your inventory, it saves a lot of time. So there, for example, I had a near mission on floor 2 and a regular mission on floor 3. So I didn't have to talk to anybody on floor 2, I just went straight to floor 3 and was like, hey, let me rescue you, and I was done. Now, the reason why I did more than one mission at a time, a lot of people don't realize that you can do more than one mission at a time. But the reason why I'm doing more than one mission at a time is that the way this game progresses, how you should progress through the story, is the amount of missions that you do. So, for example, before this cutscene happens, I have to do 2 missions before this story trigger happens. So it was just trying to optimize having to go through as less text as possible. Of course, if I can do the amount of missions required in one day, it's the fastest possible, other than splitting it up between days. So basically, a little bit of a story update. Doug Trio lost his good old son Diglett. Someone took him up to Mount Steel, and he just wants us to get him back. So right now, these past 3 dungeons, I've actually been trying to keep track of how much XP I've been gaining. Can I tank this? Yeah, I can tank this. Oh no. This is no bueno. Okay. We good. But, we in very dire situations, my dudes. This is when... Oh, no, I don't even have... Turn you off for a second. See, this is when the randomness of the game can really get to you. And that's a seed. Glorious. It's fine. I've had some bad luck in the past. This is not really how you're supposed to do this dungeon, but sometimes you just get absolutely destroyed. So I was gonna go on a huge rant about trying to manage my XP so I can try to do a double level skip, but that never happened because I got way too much of it. If you manage your XP correctly, you can actually level up twice on Skarmory with certain Pokemon, which really helps you out with just minimizing text. A lot of the time save in this game comes from minimizing text boxes and trying to get through the dungeons as fast as possible. There's some interesting movement that we can do to try to, manipulate enemies out of our way, or try to get them out of my way. So, one quick thing, one of the reasons why we use Meowth is because it has pickup. And pickup, in this game, if you're not holding an item at all, you can pick up a random item anywhere on the floor at any point, when you spawn on the floor. So sometimes we can manipulate that to something we want to pick up, like that Petrify Orb that can be used later in the game. Another thing we can do is quick save at specific spots to reset that seed. So we're getting new quote-unquote new RNG because of quick saving on the 5th floor instead of just going through with the 1st floor quick save. I guess I can just do this. Doesn't really matter XP-wise anymore. So now here's big old and bad Skarmory. This is supposed to be the first real boss fight in the game. But a lot of people don't know this Skarmory is just a regular Skarmory. He just has pretty good health at the low level he's at. Because 65 health is a good matter. I would probably only do 5 or 6 with my tackle. But because we have Gravelly Rocks in this game, we can easily take him down. How Gravelly Rocks work in this game is they deal 20 damage to whoever you throw them at. So if I just throw 3 Gravelly Rocks, Squirtle should be able to kill him with 1 bubble. And there goes Skarmory. Easily taken care of. So now we have a whole cutscene about how the Magnemites from before came and saved us, or saved the Diglett because we couldn't cross. And this whole thing about oh, we need to get, oh, excuse me, I'm just hitting the mic. We need to get a friend area so we can get Magnemites on our team. Yada yada yada. We really don't care about friend areas at all in this run because a third person in our party hurts us more than it helps us 99.9% of the time. So we would rather just not have to deal with babysitting a third one. I already have to babysit Squirtle a little bit in terms of just going through dungeons, especially in the later game. But now, one of the more important things we have to do here is we have to go check the bulletin board again, because we need to restock on our jobs. We have we have three, rather, from Thunderwave Cave that we've already picked up, but we also need to get 2 from Tiny Woods before we can do anything else. Because they expect us to do a lot of missions before we even progress the story a little bit. The next story trigger is after 5 missions, and we have a very small cutscene after 3, so we just do 3 and then we do 5. 3 and then 2 for a total of 5. But I assure you we can actually get to more interesting dungeons after we get through Tiny Woods. After the 3rd time of going through Tiny Woods. I told you Tiny Woods would be coming back. But anyway, because I lost a Reviver Seed in my endeavors and non-steal, I'm actually going to sell some stuff. We got a P.E.K.K.A Scarf earlier, we're going to sell that. And there's a Ginsig here. We can really use the Ginsig, maybe, but it really isn't great for us right now. And we'll get a lot of better moves later, so we're not even going to bother. Alright, let's see what kind of... We get 1 Tiny Woods, that's unfortunate. I'm gonna grab these 2. I'm gonna play it safe. We also need to think about getting 4 missions, because at the very end of the run we need to do 4 missions in total. During one day to be good, so we try to do 4 Mount Steel at once, which works out good because we actually get a job in the mailbox at some point. But that's not until another hour and a half away. Hey, we got Magnemite as a member. We'll never see him again. That is like truth. We will never see Magnemite again in this run. He's kind of like, yeah, we're in a friend area. They were intending you to be like, oh, let's go check out a friend area and see what these are. But it's never required for us to do that, so we just don't. It's easier for us that way. Alright, now we actually get to go to the meat of the run. After this point, that's like one of the longer cutscenes in this game. There's one more that's longer, that's in the middle of the run, but we don't have to worry about that yet. Shh. Anyway, now we get to go back to Thunderwave Cave. And just like last time, I'm going to be quick saving on the first floor. This will allow me to actually know where my job, like people I need to rescue, are, and plan accordingly from that. I'd really like to find some stairs, that'd be nice. So just like before, since I quick saved on the first floor, the layout will look very similar. And that's because it is. But depending on what kind of like missions I have, like if I have a mission on a floor or not, it'll slightly change. Like that Voltor was there before is actually my rescue client. And the fourth floor guy's a little out of my way. That's okay. It's nothing that we haven't done before. And just like that, we are done with the Thunderwave Cave missions. Now, the reason why we don't quick save in Tiny Woods is because it's just not worth it. Some dungeons have really bad quick save layouts, and that just causes us to not really want to do quick saves on certain ones, and especially since Tiny Woods is so short anyway. It really doesn't make a lot of sense to quick save. Unless we want specific items. But most of the time those specific items are an Oranberry or Pekka Berry, which we have a lot of anyway. Oh, okay, so I made a little bit of a mistake. That's fine. I need to do this actually will showcase my point really well. We need 2 missions to trigger a cutscene, or to trigger the story cutscene. I only have 1 equipped right now, and because of that, when we finish this mission, I won't be able to trigger the new story thing. This way I can actually pick up more missions, and overall be a little safer with missions, because sometimes in these runs we just try to go way too fast and we don't have a good mission layout. So as you see, we have no cutscene except for the Pelipper one. This is the main reason why we don't try to split them up into between different days, because these cutscenes and this going back into a dungeon thing is a lot of time wasted. I'll take all these. All those are garbage. So all I need left is a Tiny Woods mission and the Mount Steel missions. I'm trying to fish for a good Mount Steel Floor 8 mission, specifically the near missions that I've been talking about. Alright, let's find this client now. That's probably gonna loop back around, but that's okay. Oh hey. So now we are done with missions for the time being. And now we're able to go to the wonderful place called Sinister Woods. I'm gonna do a couple things before we go to Sinister Woods. One of them is check the job board again, because I would definitely like to have a better layout of missions, but also because I need to link moves. So, if you've ever played these games before, you would know what the idea of linking moves is. Basically, you can get your moveset into such a way where you do more than one move per turn, which is great for speedruns because we can basically like use more than one move in a turn and do a lot of damage output in a very little amount of time. But right now, we're just gonna link up Squirtle's moves because I really only have Scratch, and Growl's not that great to link up. I'm actually going to check the shop, grab an extra seed because it's for safety purposes. Check the job board again. Grab one of these. At this point, I want to have just a regular floor 8 Mount Steel mission, but that doesn't seem like it's gonna happen anytime soon, unfortunately. Alrighty. And this is the same kind of idea. We're gonna quick save on the first floor as soon as we find the stairs. And then this is gonna be the fun time. So I've talked a little bit about pickup and how we can manipulate pickup, or Meowth's pickup, in order to pick up certain things at certain times. And that's great for us, like in Mount Steel, to get stuff like rare orbs that we can't use anywhere else. But another really good thing is that it slightly changes the layout of each floor. So like this 4th floor, for example, that some floor was actually a oddish before, and that oddish would spam Sweet Scent, but we don't have to worry about that anymore. Same goes for here. The Silcoons, Cascoons don't move, so that's very grateful to us. And since we pick up something here, we can just go straight to the stairs this way. And here's another use of me quick saving, not on the first floor, to change the RNG up again to have more favorable layouts later into the dungeon. This is the longest dungeon we've been in yet. It's 13 floors, if you include the boss floor. And being able to spawn right next to the stairs like this is incredibly helpful to getting through these dungeons fast, as you can imagine. Okay, cool. So, as of now, Skarmory was our, first real boss, but, he was only one person. Imagine having to fight 3 Pokemon at once. So, not only, having to account for one Pokemon with one variable, now we're working with 3, trying to figure out a strat that works in all cases fighting these Pokemon. And we've gone it down to basically a science. Well, it's an algorithm, if I can just move correctly. These rocks are still very helpful because all these Pokemon have less than 100 health, and we're not doing much damage to them still. But since I... So since Squirtle leveled up on the Medicham, I had to do an alternative strat just to make sure that I didn't die, and I'm out of rocks, which is not out of rocks then, but that's okay. And just like that, we are done with the Gengar fight. The Meanies fight, you could call it. And now I'm at a pod saved, yay! Thankfully for us, though, we can go straight into another dungeon. Well, straight is a relative term. We have to wait a couple more minutes for more cutscenes to happen. But we can go into another dungeon. That'll have even more crazier strats than Sinister Woods. So if you were paying attention to this game, one of the cutscenes beforehand, they were talking about Jumpluff basically wanted to rescue his friend, another Jumpluff that was stuck between some rocks in Silent Chasm. And Shift2 was like, there's no way I want to do that dumb job. And then Team ACT was like, go do it. The big dogs were like, you need to go do it. So they decided to go do it. But they haven't really came back yet. So we're starting to get worried. And this is when Jumpluff comes in. Silent Chasm is unique in the way I call it, in my splits that I use for the English version of this game, I call this Silent Chasm split Silent Run Killer, because there's nothing inherently hard to execute about Silent Chasm, but we're kind of in this weird limbo right now where we're like in between levels, we're leveling up a decent bit, and the things we're killing are giving us a lot of XP nowadays because we're under leveled at this point. So when we level up, it actually can change how the dungeon behaves. So a lot of the times, and almost every single floor of this dungeon, if you level up, you have to do alternative strats. Which is very confusing in a understanding standpoint of doing this dungeon the fastest way possible. And the other reason is because this dungeon can be really rude in terms of just trying to get to the stairs to the first floor. We can have really long lanky layouts that have like very big floors, big rooms, excuse me, which are these like little open areas, and really the small amount of rooms. Or you can have something like I'm having right now, which is smaller rooms and a lot of them. Obviously, the first one's a more favorable scenario because that allows us to find the stairs quicker. But we weren't trolled that hard about it. In this run, at least. I've had runs that, like, I've had to check every single room, and the rooms are, like, half as big as this. This is, not supposed to be happening. Oh, you know what it is. I have to turn this back on. That's right. See, like, there's so many things that can go wrong in any way, any part of the mind. Hi, Teddy, how you doing? You shouldn't be here. That's okay. This run can be this dungeon in particular can be a little rough sometimes. Alrighty. That was purposeful. That was to manipulate a Trapinch out of our way. And all this movement is to, like, try to be able to hit this Dustox. back in the day we would be able to crit that Dustox, but we're too low of a level nowadays to actually do that anymore. It's unfortunate. Oh, hello. I'll place this down. I'll eat this. I need to inventory manage a little bit. Oh no. Why are you here? That's okay. This dungeon trolled us a good bit, but that's okay. We got through it. We're generally unscathed. But we will come back stronger. This is the last dungeon in which it's really like hard to get through, quote unquote. Because in the next dungeon we'll go to Mount Thunder, we'll have the ability to get some really good items. Like really good items that can help us a long way, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. Thank you, Stay Hydrated Bot, for reminding me I need to stay hydrated and drink my glass of water. Anyway, a little tidbit that a lot of casual players may not know is that you can actually speed up this cutscene a little bit by being a wuss. And what I mean by that is, before we go to Mount Thunder, they all ask, like, each one of them asks us, are you sure you want to go? It's going to be dangerous. Are you guys sure you're up for the task? And if we just say no the first time, the thing ends and we don't have to hear the other two questions, which is obviously faster. Okay, right now I'm going to do a little bit of inventory management. I'm going to be thinking about what missions I need, what missions I'm going to get, because I'm almost home free with the missions. I need to get this, and I need to, sure, I'll do that. So I only need an orange berry and a max elixir. So at this point, I can toss a lot of the stuff that I inevitably don't need to use, like these, or these, or these, one of these for that matter. Because I was running out of inventory space. You could see that last time. That's no bueno. So we're gonna just go straight to Mount Thunder. We're going to try to have a good time. There's going to be a lot of quick saving here. I think I'm going to quick save 3 times total. Maybe 2, depending on what my luck is. The first floor. I don't want to like throw a run because I'm not playing safe. Oh, I have 0. I have 1 seed. Never mind. Okay, I'm going to actually... The madman's not going to quick save the first time. I'm actually going to pick up this item, because I'm going to need to have an empty inventory. I basically need pickup to be activatable next floor. Oh, I'm going to have to pick up the brown gummy too, that's okay. This was not a good return on my investment, but that's okay. I'll be fine. So because I'm quick saving on the second floor, I'm actually going to be able to pick up the TM Frustration. Which, we probably think, oh, frustration, what's the big deal about frustration? So in main games, frustration is actually triggered by happiness. So, like, it's the inverse of happiness, basically. How happy you are, or how unhappy your Pokemon is with you, the stronger frustration is. That's not the case in Mystery Dungeon, because there's no happiness, like, stat. There's something called IQ, though, which is something that everyone has. You start with 0 IQ, and you're supposed to build them up with gummies. But, if we just, never eat any gummies, frustration will be its max power from the first time we learn frustration. And it'll just do wonders for us. The doesn't account attack and defense into anything. It's a set 45 damage. And in Mount Thunder is the first place you can find him. And I'm just teaching these right off the ground because you actually get used TMs in your inventory if you when you use a TM. I mean, IQ is something everyone has, but it's just a number. Some people's IQs are higher than others. Some people's IQs are perfectly fine. Because everyone in this game starts off with the lowest IQ stat possible, it makes frustration infinitely better to use in any scenario. Okay, it's this one. There's so many floors to remember, sometimes I lose track of them. I'm gonna quick save right here because the first floor of this this dungeon coming up, the peak. Basically, any first floor peak is really scary. And sometimes they can be choke points of runs just dying, and I would rather not have that happen to me. I did get this has the same problem same scenario Silent Chasm has, where you can have good floor layouts and bad floor layouts. And I got a good one, I just chose the wrong direction originally. Had to fight a ton of enemies. Anyway, one of the good things about quick saving in peaks is that we can manipulate bosses to our liking too. So like this Mount Thunder boss is Zapdos. That's the word I'm looking for. Zapdos is 100% predictable, and we can make it so we don't lose any Reviver Seeds to him, which is really nice. Also, I was talking about earlier why Squirtle was so good to use as a partner. One of the other things is Bubble's broken because it can slow down your opponent, and this definitely shows in this fight, because when you're slowed down, you only get to move once per other turn. So we get to move twice. He gets to move once. So he doesn't even get to touch us in this scenario because Bubble slowed him down twice. And now we go to... oh, jeez. Great Canyon, that's the word I'm looking for. Great Canyon, and the thing I love about Great Canyon so much is it has one of the craziest manipulations that you probably can see in the main game of Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. I'll definitely be showing that off. It is technically slower, but it's so flashy and I love it, so I'm going to show it off to you guys. I think you guys would enjoy it more than the alternative that you can do instead. Now basically, a little story update. People are obviously finding out we're human, or have some hunches that a human's messing up our ecosystem. And we basically have to get to the bottom of it. With the 5,000 IQ that Alakazam has, he still can't really tell us if we're connected to the rumors or we're connected to, the world ending. But they're like, you can go talk to Xatu. Where is Xatu, I may ask? On the top of this canyon rift. The Hill of Ancients, you could call it. Yep, that's a dead end if I've ever seen one. Pokemon here are starting to get a little scary to fight, especially the Doduos and Heracrosses that know Pursuit, which basically just redirects the 45 damage I can take to them right back to me, which is unfortunate. But thankfully we didn't have to fight much of those. I don't think we have to fight a Heracross at all, which is nice. The general theme of this dungeon is just to run away from everything and have everyone else solve your problems. I might hit this. Yeah, I might hit this Murkrow. That's okay. I'll just get my link box early. That's totally fine. I'm gonna need a link box anyway at some point. This is one of the cooler ones. You just go in a little loop-de-loop, and the guy just forgets that you're there, I guess. And this coming up, this 11th floor is the most technically advanced part of this this run, basically. There we go. It looks ridiculous, I know, but it works. And that is Great Canyon. And now we have a very long cutscene, so I'm gonna just talk a little bit right now about how this game has kind of evolved through the years. No one really ran this game until about the first recorded run was, I think, 2013, and it was just, you know, playing through the game normally. We had Charmander, Squirtle, because Charmander had Smokescreen out of his arsenal. Squirtle was really bulky. They were just kind of good mons to play with casually, and we tried speedrunning with them. They were okay, but Charmander was still pretty bad in comparison to the rest of the Pokemon we could have. So one day, I don't remember exactly who, but someone was like, hey, we should try Skitty out for size. Skitty's a normal type, and it has something called Double Slap. And the reason why we were so infatuated by the idea of Double Slap was because there's multi-hit moves are super broken in this game. There's hopefully you won't see them in this run, but there are Fearos in a couple of the dungeons later that have Fury Attack as a move. And Fury Attack just completely destroys me if I get hit by it. It takes a seed or two, if not three, just from one attack. And that's because it's basically just like 3 to 5 tackles stacked on top of each other is how this game kind of handles multi-hit moves, so it's kind of broken. So we saw Skitty and we're like, okay, this is perfect. He has the broken Double Slap, and he also has Attract, which Infatuation is also broken in this game, because no matter if you're a boy or a girl or whatever, you still get hit by the Infatuation of Attract, and there's no way of escaping it at all. So we ran with that for a while, and that was our main team, was Skitty and Squirtle. For the longest of time, it was thought to be, you know, this is how we play the game. We just play the game, we hope to get lucky, and we just, oh, I have to move. We have to just deal with it and just hope that we can get on a good run at some point. And then everything changed around, I want to say 2016, when we found this Japanese speedrunner that got a 2-hour and 14-minute run. And the world record of the English version at the time was like 3 and change. So we were like, what is going on? How is this? Did this guy just get really lucky, or what is actually going on here? And we found that this guy was doing this really weird thing every floor, or every first floor of a dungeon, I would say. He would be quick saving on the first floor of every dungeon. And we're like, huh, that's a little weird. And we looked into it and we realized that it's actually for manipulation. And then everything started to blow up. We started to use quick save with a Skitty Squirtle that eventually evolved into trying to find the starter partner combo that leveled up the least. And then eventually we found out that we can abuse some other mechanics, like pick up on Meowth, and specifically Wonder Mail. Wonder Mail is a crazy thing in this game. You can basically input randomly. It's a random code. I say random, but it's actually like its own language almost, which is crazy. But by inputting those codes, we can get specific missions that are tailored to what we wanted. Like, for example, if we wanted a mobile scarf, so we can just walk straight to the stairs. Sure, we'll get a mobile scarf. We can just Wonder Mail that in and give it as a reward. And that eventually morphed into, it's like stuff like that. That eventually morphed into us Wonder Mailing in tons of frustration orbs, or frustration TMs, and a warp scarf. Because we can actually manipulate where we go via the warp scarf. And it evolved to a point where we were like, this is very much away from the original intention of speedrunning this game, was to get through this game as fast as we can without, like, cheesing the game. So, a couple of months ago, me and a couple of other runners decided to just restrict ourselves a little bit in speedruns and not use quick save Wonder Mail. We would still quick save on floors, but we would just not use Wonder Mail. And that category eventually worked its way into an official speedrun.com category, and I think it's personally the best way to showcase this game in any type of setting, because a lot of people think that, me included, think that Wonder Mail is kind of a little bit of a cheating device. It's kind of like, you know, if you ever played those, there's this one game, the Fairly Odd Parents game for the Game Boy Advanced. I don't know if anyone else ever owned that game, but I owned it as a kid, and it had a password system as a save system. Every time you clear a mission, when you clear a level, you would get a passcode. You were supposed to write that passcode down, and then when you would go back into the game, you would just input the passcode, and you would show up on that next level. That's obviously an extreme example. Mystery Dungeon is nothing like that, but if you wouldn't, how I look at it is, if you wouldn't let that in-game feature that breaks the game into your speedruns, why do it here? And of course, there's so many different sides to it. No one's right, no one's wrong. But me and a couple other people in the community were just like, hey, we really want to have a more purist type of experience using the manipulation. And this is when this category of the No Wonder Mail category got born. It's personally my favorite category because it kind of teaches you everything about what we can do with quick saves. We can quick save to pick up items for our disposal. We can quick save to pick up specific items. We can quick save to, of course, manipulate where the floors are, and etc., etc. And mostly, every dungeon kind of has its own unique way of going about it. Except for a couple of them. But for the most part, every dungeon has kind of a niche that we can kind of show off here. Anyway, we are about to get done with the longest part of the cutscene in this game, in my opinion, and embark on what I would call the fugitive segment. So if you haven't been keeping up with the story, basically what has happened is word has got out that we could be connected to these natural disasters, and my boy Gengar was like, if we kill him, or kill is a strong word, if we get rid of him, then maybe we won't have any more natural disasters. And everyone's like, yeah, that's a good idea. Good idea. Have the clap for a good idea. So now the only thing we can do is just run away and try to find the truth. And this is my favorite scene in the game. I like this scene a lot better than I like the end game, actually. So now, our first dungeon we get into is Lapis Cave. And Lapis Cave is, all in all, not a very interesting dungeon. But the thing I like about Lapis Cave so much is that it completely falls apart when we're using the manipulation. Like, maybe in the first couple of dungeons, like, okay, he spawned near the stairs a couple times. In this timeline, no, we're gonna be abusing the heck out of Lapis Cave for the most part, because we just get spawned next to the stairs over and over and over and over again. It's actually quite funny in my opinion. Can I get into the stairs, please? Fun fact, part of the quick save route used to use this TM right here that had Facade in it as an extra attacking move on Skitty. But of course, after we figured out we can just, you know, manipulate in frustration, we were just going in. I never looked back on that freaking Facade TM. Alright, now we get to go to Mount Blaze, which is one of the many two-parter mountains that we're gonna have to scale en route of trying to find the truth of who we actually are. I'm actually high-key interested to see what that TM is. Thief, not my cup of tea. And all this movement's just to try to make sure we don't have Pokemon that come our way, try to get Pokemon away from us. Okay, that is not what I was meant to do. Oh my goodness, can you not? That's unfortunate. I had too much of the any percent route on my mind. That's what that is. Alright, I have a very important question for good old chat here. Do we want to do the safe way or the swag way? I'm fairly certain I can do both and be fine. But I want to know chat's input. Let's do it. So, we're going to be fighting Moltres, right? Moltres, the Firebird Legendary. So I'm hoping that Squirtle's going to... Oh, that's the Fury attack I was talking about. I saved, didn't I? I think I did. Can I even do swag anymore? Ooh. Oh, I'm just dead. That's cool. I'm hoping that I quick saved, or not quick save, hoping that I saved in the middle slot. I should have. That'd be super unfortunate if I didn't. Yeah, I did. There you go. This is why I do the mid saves, because sometimes Fury Attack can be a little butt. Alrighty, we got to this point. We're gonna quick save. Hey, it's that thing I said it was gonna kill me at some point, and it definitely did. Alrighty, so like I was saying earlier, we're gonna be fighting against the legendary Firebird. I'm wondering, I'm hoping that Squirtle is gonna be a great help to me. You know, water on fire, it's a really good type combination, right? He's gonna definitely be able to help me out here. Just have to wait, get you guys in suspense about what's gonna happen. Alrighty, Squirtle, it's your time to shine, buddy. Squirtle? Squirtle? Hey, you gonna help me there, bud? I'm having a hard time here, Squirtle. You gonna help me? I guess not. Oh, now you learn Water Gun. It's okay. It's okay, Squirtle. So the strat that I just showed off actually saves a good chunk of time over letting Squirtle attack Moltres, and that is purely just because like Squirtle's attacks to that thing will do very, very little, like 0 to 1 damage per hit. So it's just much more faster for me to just, you know, take the seed and fight the thing one-on-one and just have animations go quicker. So that is Moltres. We're 1/3 of the way through the mountain climb expedition. Alright, I'm gonna actually take a little bit of time and save here, because there's one Pokemon that every speedrunner does not like, and it's Furret. No, that's not true, but you know, in this speedrun, in this context, Furret is disgusting. You see that? The little guy did 32 damage to Squirtle. And sometimes they just zone you out with Quick Attack. That's the worst timeline when that happens. So this is another dungeon. We're going to be going a little bit out of our way to get another Frustration TM. We're going to throw it on our boy Squirtle. And we're quick saving again, just to set up the manipulation to get our Frustration TM. And fun fact, this is the only time in the game I actually have to mash, because every other time in cutscenes and anything else you can just hold the B button, and it just allows you to auto advance text. Which is amazing on my fingers, because I'm not necessarily, I don't necessarily like mashing for that much. Here's the floor I'm gonna get the Ditto on, or not the Ditto, the Frustration TM on. And that's Frosty Forest for you. Now, one of the cool things about Frosty Grotto is it's one of the only places that I'm going to be able to find Reviver Seeds in, which is super exciting, in my opinion. Because I'm actually going to be able to have a cushion now of Reviver Seeds. And the Petrify Orb, I'm going to use it here to get around the Metangs that kind of just get in your way. Yeah, I'm fine. And that's the 2 Reviver Seeds that I'm going to get here. I'm going to get more in Mountain Freeze as well, but having a 2 Reviver Seed cushion is pretty good. So you're going to see me do an interesting thing here. Oh, excuse me. I'm going to actually turn off some moves, just like I did in the Sinister in the fight with Gengar, Ekans, and Medicham. Because the RNG can change. Another thing that changes the RNG is whether it checks if a move will critical hit or not. And because Frustration doesn't check for that either, it can actually change our manipulation very slightly. When I mean very slightly, I mean just like our opponent's going to be using different moves, but we can manipulate that in such a way that Articuno really doesn't touch us much other than like a couple A attacks, which is huge for us at least. now we get to experience the best companion in the game, Absol. Absol kind of forces our way into the party. We're supposed to play with him during Mount Freeze, and then after that, we're really just gonna be done with using Absol. That was the intention. But we can actually, by menuing before we get into Mount Freeze, we can actually get Absol off of our team and not make him have to go through Mount Freeze with us. That'll actually help us a good bit, because it'll help us. Like I said before, having 3 Pokemon in a party is pretty clunky compared to 2. So we'll take advantage of that ability to only have 2. So despite Absol not really knowing about where we're from, where we're supposed to go, anything like that, I have to answer these questions first. We can just tell him, you know, Absol, it's time for you to stand by. He's gonna leave. Which is really interesting, because he has no idea where we're going, where to go, but he just kind of leaves us, which is nice. Allows us to just be the 2-man wrecking crew we've always been. Now those are stairs. I'm gonna make sure that I have enough items in my inventory slot, which is a big fat no. That's fine. I inventory managed a little bit, and I'll be fine. So here's where I would usually get my link box, but I got it earlier, so I don't have to do that. Oh, that was interesting. Hi, Shelgon, how's it going? Hi, Shelgon, how's it going? That's okay. You do your rage, little buddy. It's good enough. This dungeon is actually pretty bland until we get to the last couple of floors, which will actually kind of spice things up a little bit. By picking up that item there, I'm actually going to be able to get 2 Reviver Seeds on the 15th floor of this dungeon. And now I'm not really scared about anything since I really... Oh, okay. Hi, Absol. Remember Absol? I remember Absol. Oh, this is the powdered snow that I was worried about. Oh, That's fine. That is fine. That Absol likes to use Quick Attack a lot, so I have to really think about how I'm moving to make sure he doesn't use Quick Attack on that sleeping Pokemon. So now we have a good 5 or 6 minutes of literally nothing. I mean, it's story progression. I can say, like, you know, they fight. They've been chasing us the whole time. They fight. We throw some punches back and forth. And then Ninetales comes down and is like, yo, y'all are all wrong. This Meowth is not the human that you're looking for. Your princess is in another castle. And then everyone's like, okay. And then we walk back. Sounds like these is where I wish we could speed up cutscenes or just skip them all together. But in this game in particular, can't really skip the cutscenes, which is unfortunate. That's kind of a thing with all Mystery Dungeon games I've seen, is that these kind of like character interactions you can't really skip. Alright, now we have a little bit of missions to do. Finally, we can actually play the video game. Now it's for us. Now it's time for us to go back to our normal lives, doing normal things like doing missions. This is the strangest layout I've ever seen. Interesting. Alrighty. These are the exact same, like, since I quick saved here like last time, I can do the same quick save and the same things happen as long as I do the same actions. So like if I scratch this guy, I'll still be able to do the exact same move. In theory, do the exact same movement. I don't know, my Wii U D-pad, I guess, is kind of a bit finicky right now. Probably hit that Ella kid again. Nope. That's good. And like that, we're done with 3 missions. And guess what time it is? Is it for more missions? Wait, no. Actually, more missions. The next story, quote-unquote story thing, is we get to go to Magma Cavern to meet a good old pal Groudon. But we have to do a couple of, we have to trigger a couple flags first. We have to rebuild the, our base, well, not rebuild, but like build our base to make it good, and it's like a renovation of some sorts. And then we also have to do 6 more missions in total. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna do the actual dungeon that we need to do in order to make our base, or renovate our base again. And that'll come through Wynut and Wobbuffet. It's coming right at us. Uproar Forest is kind of interesting because we need a little thing about this game is that in order to fully renovate your house and get on with the game, you need to have 2 chestnuts to give to your workers. But unfortunately, chestnuts are only found in one location, the 9th floor of Uproar Forest, which is a dungeon we're about to go into. So what we've done is we've manipulated the route in such a way where we can get the 2 chestnuts in one go. Because sometimes you can get 2, sometimes you can get 1, sometimes you get 0, which is very unhappy when you get 0. So now I'm actually, okay, I'll trigger Wynut Wobbuffet first. Now I'm gonna go check in my mailbox real quick. I gotta have one more mission I'm going to pull out of here. This mission is always set in stone, this Mount Steel Floor 3 mission. And what it's going to allow me to do is going to allow me to do the 4 Mount Steel missions without having to worry about doing the 5th floor job, which is actually really unfortunate because the 5th floor regular job is really, really bad. Now it's time for us to go to Uproar Forest. These Venonats can be terrible because they have confusion, which causes confusion. They have Supersonic, I think it is, which causes confusion. Just not an overall good experience if you get confused. So here's a little cool thing. If you go straight down, you like recruit that Apom. But I'm doing this movement specifically, and I'm taking. Oh no, I need to. I'll eat this, and I'll throw this over here. When I pick up this item, these next couple floors actually become my favor because it was usually rainy instead of sunny, which causes that like an Apom to not spawn in the sunny weather. Now this is the real challenge right here. This floor 9's pretty crazy in my opinion. So we have to go this way. This way. This is all to try to avoid enemies because we don't want to fight any of them. If you just want to get the stairs. And then while I'm here, excuse me. While I'm here, I'll equip the power band. Yeah, that's what I'll do. And take the chestnuts. Put chestnuts in my inventory because for some reason, if you're equipping an item, you actually can't give up that item in this this cutscene, this chestnut giving up cutscene that we'll do in the overworld. Now all we have to do is just give the Mankey a couple of chestnuts and we are good enough to go. And progress through the game. Now it's time for us to this is the drag part of the run, honestly, because you're doing stuff, but you're not actually doing stuff. You know. One chestnut. So now, after we do this... Oh, we have 4 missions to do, that is correct. These 4 missions are going to be a little crazy, just because we have to do 4 missions at once, which requires us going pretty far into the dungeon. And Mount Steel can be Mount Steel sometimes. Hi, Mount Steel. So now the first couple of floors are pretty simple in what we're doing. And then we're actually not going to quick save on this 5th floor here. This is probably one of the more no, I already screwed it up. I meant to place this down. Hello. So usually if we don't have an 8th floor mission we need to do, then it's super simple to just, you know, leave after this point. But unfortunately we do, so we're gonna have to kill these couple of enemies right here. It's not that big of a deal, but it's more annoying than anything else, honestly. And that is Mount Steel. We are done with that dungeon for now. The best case scenario is me not to get any good items out of this, because I actually have a full inventory. And now I have a full inventory. And I'd rather not see this toolbox text a lot. But it's whatever. So now we have a little town meeting. We're like, hey, Alakazam and them aren't back from dealing with Groudon yet. Should we be concerned? But Lombri's just like, you know, why don't we let the good guys deal with this, the quote unquote good guys deal with this right now. And I'm like, what the heck? And we get sent to do more missions, but that's okay. These are the last missions we have to do. And then let's do the last missions that we ever have to do. Thank the Lord. To see if Tiny Woods can freak. Okay, Tiny Woods isn't here, indeed. Sometimes it's hard to see the clients because on the, like, you know, the yellow on yellow aesthetic is not very easy to see. And there we go. Missions officially over. Now we have just the good, sweet gameplay and storyline that we can accomplish. And now we get our chance to go to Magma Cavern. Magma Cavern's going to be a great time because we are going to be able to finally get a Warp Scarf. And if you remember when I was talking before, the Warp Scarf allows us to, you know, teleport around, and we can actually manipulate that to our advantage. So we're going to actually find a Warp Scarf in this dungeon and immediately start using it, which is exciting. Alrighty, and now I'm going to check my inventory a little bit. I actually have to inventory manage. I keep telling myself, you know, I need to inventory manage, but it's just not happening, which is unfortunate. So I'm going to take some time and actually inventory management. That's a great fragment. I'm going to manage my inventory and see what I can do just to make sure I don't have to deal with trying to do alt strats because I can't pick up my item. See how many blast seeds I have now, or reviver seeds I have now. Excuse me, I can't speak at all. Alright, finally, after so long, feels like the latter half of this game actually, as in a speedrunner perspective, kind of just wanes on a lot. We get to do 2 dungeons in 30 minutes, which is just part about the pacing of the run. But now it's full on focus time. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to try to get to the 3rd floor relatively unscathed. If I can't, that's okay. It happens. Hi, Keck. How you going? That's the first time I think I've ever seen a Keck shop in a actual speedrun. Like, that manipulated speedrun, at least. So I'm quick saving here, and I'll quick save the next floor, too, because it's basically like a stair floor. If you quick save here. But this is all just a setup to get my warp scarf, because that's desperately what I want right now. Okay, that's a big yikes. I'll be fine though. It's all good. This is kind of cool. I like when I find stuff out like this, because it just feels so smooth to do most of the time. And a lot of this is very dependent on like movement to movement. Like if I mess something up, then the manip just stops working for that specific floor. You saw that on the 5th or 6th floor there. I'm actually gonna get another frustration team, believe it or not, right here. And actually just teach it over my link to move. I don't need it anymore. Take that. Throw it out. Use the link box. And then go on with it. Now this is the floor. This is the good old floor that the warp scarf gets incorporated. Squirtles took a seed there for me, but that's fine. So like everything here is just manipulated in such a way I can just warp right to the stairs, and it's a good time. A lot of this is, like you can imagine, a lot of this is super dependent on move to move, because not only matters when I move or where I move, that everything there determines on where I teleport to. There's so much variance in where I can teleport, but most of the time it's pretty straightforward. And the cool thing about this is I can actually keep the warp scarf on and have some shenanigans going. So this first floor is very tough. And it's just sometimes not fun to try to go through it, so I'm going to just warp around and see if I can find anything. I'm not getting good warp luck. Warp me more than like 2 spots, please. So, let's do one more warp. There you go. And I just won't quick save here, because it's only a 1-floor dungeon. I could quick save to manipulate Groudon, but 90% of the time, he's a cakewalk because of the 135 base output, or is it 135? I can't do math. 90 plus 90. 180. 180 damage output we're doing right now per turn. Groudon goes down in like 3 or 4 turns. So most of the time that's not enough time for him to actually get anything going off the ground. And sometimes Ancient Power happens, and this is worst case scenario. Like actual worst case scenario, but that's okay. This is why I have so many Reviver Seeds. This is a great example of a run going absolutely horribly, but that's okay. We just keep on trucking. Now that we have the Warp Scarf, we are very free to start just doing whatever. Now it's time for us to be the saviors. These 2 little basic Pokemon just rescued this team of 3 tank of pseudo-legendaries and amazing Pokemon. And now we're just gonna go save the world real quick. Just all in a day's work, you know? Now it's time for the last hurrah. We are ready. Let's get a good night's sleep beforehand. And let's get it going. But oh no. Oh no. Gengar is gonna try to stop us for whatever reason. I really never got the motives behind this character. Still don't know to this day, but that's okay. And then Gardevoir comes and saves the day. So now Sky Tower is a pretty good representation of all the different things we can do with manipulation, with the exception of, like, you know, grabbing an item to use, because we've really gotten all our items at this point. Now it's time. It's just me, my thoughts, and Sky Tower with the best music in the game. Let's do this. This is good music, but this pales into comparison to what you're about to witness right now. Now it's time. Everything has come to this moment in time. Oh, hi, Shedinja. Fun fact, you can throw rocks through walls against those guys. It's a really good thing to know. So now we picked up a warp orb earlier in Silent Chasm, I believe it was. This is going to be used here to get these guys out of my way. And now it's Warp Scarf time. Some of these strats are just really cool because you wouldn't think that that would be the result, but it just happens out to work that way. Oh no. See, this is what I mean by the teleport strats sometimes backfire on you. Hopefully Squirtle's doing fine right now. Yeah, he's doing fine. Yeah, this is definitely gonna take a seed for me, but that's okay. I will deal with it. that A attack was necessary to not teleport away from the stairs. And that pickups to make sure that we don't get supersonic by that Venomoth over there. And just like that, we are in the peak of Sky Tower. It's 9 floors away from the finish of this run. And the stairs are right there. Perfect. And just when you thought Warp Scarf was over, we put it back on. These floors in the summit are really something else. They're very hard. This is also a ridiculous one. We're gonna use this Petrify Orb right here. And walk exactly like that to land on the stairs. You served us well, my dude. I hope you had a good time. Warp Scarf. Everything else is pretty straightforward. I mean, this floor is quote-unquote straightforward. That's okay. So I'm going to do a little bit of a showcase here. We could do a faster strat that takes a seed, or I can very quickly show you how to use tactics effectively in this game. Tactics are like things you can do, set your partner to do X, Y, and Z, and they all have different like subcategories. If I go into my team right here, and I go to my tactics, and I was like, okay, get the heck away from this guy, please. I can make him walk away even when he would have usually just attacked. And this way I can just end the game outright. And this race timing is now finished. I'm glad. I hope you guys enjoyed this speedrun. I know it wasn't the best. I'm not feeling the best, but that's okay. Anyway, if you are very interested, if you love these games, if you're interested in watching other people speedrun these games, or speedrunning these games yourself, we have a very open Discord for Pokemon Mystery Dungeon speedrunning that's open to everyone and anyone who wants to join it. It's pinned on every single one of our speedrun.com pages for these games, or you can reach into touch with me or one of the other leaderboard mods, and it'll point you in the right direction. Follow me if you like Mystery Dungeon games, and make sure to stick around for more craziness with this one. I definitely want Mystery Dungeon HD, or like a Sky remake would be amazing with the super stuff. Does every one of the leaderboards have to be English? There's Japanese boards and there's English boards, and that's it. Unfortunately, we don't really have any good way to convert English text with anything else.
So I'm really hoping that the timer was supposed to stop because I
Yeah,
stopped it.
that's fine.
Okay.
This is not any sort of a good run that'll be recorded or anything. So yeah, stopping them is fine.
Okay. I wasn't sure if it was done or not. So this looks like a good cutscene. I think we'll wait for all this to finish before we move on.
Yeah, it's a very emotional cutscene. If you remember playing this game as a wee lad, you probably remember this is like the climax of everything. You're originally supposed to stop credits or stop time when the credits start, but
Gotcha.
race timing ends, it requires a kill. But yeah, the English and Japanese are the only two we can really do anything about, leaderboard-wise. This is a nice chill way to end off the run, in my opinion. All the Mystery Dungeon soundtracks just top tier. I cry every time. If you go down to the Mystery Dungeon, I would wish this run would include all the post-game. That would turn a 2-hour category into an 8-hour category, and I ain't about that. See, if you follow me, wink wink, you could see post-game plus runs. Wink wink. Wink wink.
Alright. Well, thank you, Likeanoob100, for the run. That was really awesome. Thank you for showcasing that. That was a really good run. Shouts out. Up next, we have Left Side Worldwide bringing us stacking gameplay. So be sure to stay tuned for that.
Nice.
Again, thank you.
Stacking's such a fun run to watch. Oh my goodness.
So excited, actually. But thank you again for the run. That was really good.